Well, I think the EFL world, the English as a foreign language, where children are learning it as a language, meaning in the classroom, it's a language, how the English learn French at school or German. Yes, you need to speak that because it's only during that class that you're learning it. But
that's a totally different model, right?
It's a totally different thing. You're learning the subject of English, or you're learning the subject of French. But when your child is fully immersed in a language speaking environment and they're there to learn, the learning has to continue, even if they don't speak very good English at the beginning, obviously, and they will pick it up. I mean, this whole idea of, you know, they're surrounded 8 hours a day, so they will speak it up. And I think And I think one of the things that I'd like to share is that English should not be at the expense of the home language. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that comes with that old mentality. And now we're really understanding all the wonderful benefits of multilingualism. So it's actually the majority of people who speak more than one language. And many, many children grow up speaking 3 and 4 languages. So we're actually biologically programmed to be able to do that. So this concept that we have to focus on one language is just simply inaccurate. So what we want to do is we want to move to the idea that we really want to add languages to our repertoire without taking away, all right? So we want to encourage families to speak their home languages, tell them all the benefits about why that's important and how that's perfectly normal and recommended. And then we want to give positive messages to students that their languages, all their languages are celebrated and they matter. Yeah. So if we teach them a little bit about how important it is to use our languages flexibly, I think that's important, right?
Yeah, so they have to use that within the learning environment. So if a child is Turkish and they're in the math class and the teacher's teaching them in English and they're teaching them in math, it's totally fine for that child to be counting in their head in Turkish and using that knowledge that they've got. And maybe that just comes completely, even if they're fluent in English, they may always revert back to the fact that they have to count their numbers in Turkish, you know, and use that, and then they'll continue with the computation. So the idea of, I mean, I think a lot of times too, I've kind of gone into schools where they don't know best practice, and they do say English only environment. This is the language where you may have 50 nationalities, and you do want to be fair, and you think, well, if language is the English is the language of instruction, then the international language in the schools should be English, and therefore our language of communication between everybody, so that nobody feels excluded, is English. And I can understand where that comes from, but again, that's not that's myth. That's a myth too. That you know what we're saying to the little Nepalese kid, he may be the only one child in the class. You have to speak in English all the time, when sometimes, you know, he'd just really like to relax and be able to read a book in Nepalese or chat to someone in Nepalese, or be able to do some research online about something scientific in his language. And that's okay. And I think teachers value that, because language is culture, right?
Right. Definitely.
It's so deeply connected.
I think what we really want teachers to take away is that it's okay to tell your students, and you should tell your students, that all your languages help you to learn and think and connect with others. So, you know, at different moments in time, whether for different purposes and tasks, you might use one language, but then you might want to switch to another language, just like we do that as adults, right? You see many people who come from different cultures, and then they enter the workplace where it's an English environment, and they have, you know, in their field of study, they basically have focused on learning their topic or their discipline only in English. So that becomes the strongest language for that subject or that task. But then they easily switch back into one of their other languages for something else. So this idea of just having one focus is really outdated. So let's open that up a little bit more, and let's have the idea that we can use different languages for different purposes. And that's part of what translanguaging is all about, right? Yep. So let's try and, you know, I guess your homework for our teachers would be to just start thinking about ways they can share that message with their students and in their school, even maybe on a larger scale.
Yeah, and think about, you know, if you do have a policy of English only in the school, then go to some colleagues and have that discussion about what is that message sending to our BMLs. Can we change that? Can we have that all languages are valued? because all children are
Keep
valued.
it simple, right?
Keep it simple and just start that ball rolling and start that discussion happening.
I mean, we could talk about this topic forever, but I think we'll have to stop. You know, we have more information about that. We actually have even a parent program that we have launched over the past year. So for any teachers that are also interested in supporting parents and helping parents to kind of unlearn and unravel those myths, this is a really good way for them to learn more about bilingualism and multilingualism with their children. So so anyone can get in touch with us about that if they're interested.